In the same lines, you can see that. So all is ASCII means like it will check for any only ASCII characters. So if it has any other characters like a Greek or Latin characters, it says false. If all ASCII characters, it says true. So you can say that is printable. Is printable means, you remember we have seen about escape sequences. So if there is checks for any escape sequences, if there were escape sequences, it says false. /n is an escape sequence, /t is an escape sequence. Others, it is okay, right? So like that, if there is something, if you want to analyze them, so there is an option. And not only this, so there are further things like is identifier. So means like we can check if something is an identifier or not. Hope you remember we have checked name is keyword module also I checked like this. So strings support a lot of features like this for us to understand and use them. Okay, hope it's clear. Next, going further, after this, there is one more thing called as in the string attributes called as strip. This is very interesting. You will love it. So what is the string attributes called as strip? Strip means what? What is the literal meaning of strip? Remove. What is that it is trying to remove? So if you see, you will understand that. If I tell there is an example of strips, I will first give the examples and then explain how it is working like that. Okay. So the good example I would tell is this one. If I have a word and I want to do like this, okay. All characters are A, I have. I think I am gone somewhere else. I have all A's. If I execute, what will happen? I get an empty string. So what is happening? I will tell you. It will remove every character from left side and right side. So from A, it will remove right side. So B, it will remove. Now let me do one more example for you to better understand. If I have A's and in middle I have B. So what you are trying to say, hey, remove all the A's. Let me remove only A's. Now, did you see all the A's and left and right side were removed? I hope you can understand how the strip is working. Only at the edges it will remove the things. Let me take one more example. Now you will understand. If I just do strip for Python production, I will get like strip means it will try to remove. By default, if you give nothing, it will try to remove the white space. So did you see there were some white spaces? It removed. If I use print statement, I cannot see it clearly. That's why I'm making use of it. Now, let me explain you very clearly this feature, how it works. If I use that I want to remove a character called as P, observe carefully, it will not remove it. Sir, why it won't remove? Because it is in the starting, right? But it is not in the starting. In the edges, if the character is there, it will remove. Did you see that in the edges, left side and right side, there were white spaces? So until unless the edges were removed, it will not go inside. Okay. Rather, that's the reason in the top, if I do just a strip, it remove the white spaces. Or else intentionally also you can give white space. If I give white space, it will remove only white space. But see, the white space in middle is not removed. Only the white space at the edges is removed. Now, if I do these two things together, say a P and a space. In this particular case of strip, it won't take like a P followed by space exact occurrence. It will take each one individually and try to remove. First, it will check for P. Hey, do you have P at the edge, left side? No. At the right side? No. Next, do you have white space in the left side? Yes. Remove. So do you have white space at the right? Remove. So like that it will remove. And again it will check for, hey, do you have P on the left side, right side? Recursively it will check. And finally it will remove. Now in this case, you observe that what you are getting. The string. Yes. Yeah. You see here. So when we executed, the white P was removed on both sides and white space also removed. Now let me add one more character. As I told here, the exact order is not needed. I can take like a T, but nothing changed because after removing this, there is a Y. Until unless Y is removed, this T we cannot remove it. If I remove like, so if I place Y again, and here the order doesn't matter. Recursively, it will go and check and it will remove the things. That is the beauty of strip. And if I give something like O, will it remove O? In the left side also O is there, right side also O is there, but it is in middle. So there is a H this side and N this side. Until both of them are removed, you cannot remove, right? Say this time I am using like say N. As I told, order doesn't matter. I can use any base. So this time O was placed, so N was removed and O also removed. But this side O is not removed because H is not there. And if I do H also, you can notice that in the left side also it will remove. After H, O is removed, again N is removed, again white space, it will remove. So like that. Now we understood the beauty of this strip. Let me go ahead and tell one more thing. Within the strip, there are two types called as L strip. If we just do strip, it will strip both sides. If I do L strip, only the left side part only it will remove. Similarly, see here, if I do a right strip, only the right side only it will remove. Did you see? So still we have characters means the corresponding things didn't come. Else would have done better. Now going for the old example we have gone earlier. So the three values I'm telling again. So if I tell like, yeah, if you take this example, then I think you will understand clearly and I can close this. If I say strip, you see what happened? Strip AB, you are trying to say. So why B was not removed? Because if you don't give anything, it will remove white space. But if you give something, it will remove that. As around B, there is a white space, it is not removing anything. So this is clear, right? But if I give a white space also apart from this, then everything was gone. So fine. So now let's do the same thing for a L strip and R strip. If I do like a L strip, see, left side it removed, white space also gone, and again it became like it removed everything. So let me take like, only this one, then you will understand better. Only left side part will be removed, and similarly, only the right side part will be removed in the right R strip. I think now you understood clearly about the strip operation. Any other doubts till now? Okay. So similarly, the most common usage of L strip is when you have some numbers we are processing. So we will have a prepending of zeros, right? Hope you remember any numbers when you're doing like a registration numbers or something, big numbers. So if you want to remove the prepending zeros, this is one good real use case. So at the same time, if you have a something and if you want to fill with anything, there is something called as Z fill. For removing, we have this one. But if you want to fill something, you have like Z fill. So if you give any characters which are like beyond its limit, then it will do. Say if I give 5, it will prepend with this 2 zeros. Means total, if you want to maintain like 5 digits, you just give. If the number is less than that, it will prepend the zeros. This is called as Z fill. So it is like if say Z fill of same 123 with 7 digits I want. Means totally there should be 7 digits. There were only 3 digits. The remaining 4 it will prepend by zeros. So it is same like individually you going and taking a 0 into 4 plus, like that we do, right? So that is exactly same. So 4 means like, so 7 minus length of this, which is 3. So that is how it works. Hope it's clear. So I can go to the last two things. Any doubt still now?
No.
Okay, then fine. Now there is one standard way. So how do you convert a string to a list? This is very interesting. So till now we know how to remove at the edges, but if you want to make chopping in middle or in some other places, that's where we should go for next thing called as split. I repeat again, strip means removing at the edges, right? Whereas the other one is called as split. Split. So split also same thing. If you don't give any attribute, so anything, it will by default split by white spaces. How many white spaces are there? It will try to remove those many times. Say like if I have apple, banana, so camel, donkey, elephant. So how many white spaces are there? Don't you see those many times it divided? That is a split operation. And see, for the split operation, the beauty is that you intentionally give the white spaces like this, then also it will remove. If you don't give also, it will remove. Beauty, I will tell you what, interesting. So if I say the same things here, so if I use without a split, and if I have like, so any number of white spaces, I can have like any number of white spaces. So it give how many things? You just saw, right? For a split, if you have specifically given a white space, now did you see how many things it happened? Crazily, right? That's what you need to understand. So if you just want to remove a white space, don't give the white space. It will handle multiple things. Or else you need to write the code for everything on your own. Okay. So what it actually does is that if you have more than the things, it will try to help you in a better way. So by giving like this, you see these many white spaces. So that's why if you just want to remove white space, don't give anything else. So just give like this. Okay, I'm taking this apple, my camel, donkey, so and so, and I want to split by a character. Say I am splitting by one specific character called as O. How many times O is there? Those many times it will split. Unfortunately or fortunately, the O is present only once. As it present only once, you got two pieces. That's what, right? If you have cake, if you cut once, you will have two pieces. In the same thing happens here. So similarly, if I want to divide by a character called as N, it present like multiple times. You see, you got something, apple, bear, so here, so a camel, do, so like there's something. Wherever N's are there, those many times it is dividing, right? Hope it's clear. Similarly, if I try to divide with a character called as L, how many times L is present? So in apple, L is there, camel, L is there, elephant, L is there. So how many times it is present? Those many times it will divide. Similarly, if you want to divide by something at the edges like a, you see how many times A is there, it will remove. So before apple also, it's like A is there, right? So that's why you got an empty string. So how many times it is present, it will remove. Similarly, if I go in the other side, if I remove by T, which is the last character. So unfortunately, T is present only once. Very interesting, right? So entire string came in one shot. At the end, T is there. That's why. So after T, there is nothing. So that's why you got an empty string. Hope it's clear how split is working and how strip is working.
Yes.
Yes, friends. Okay, fine. After this, so let me give the same example with another thing. Okay, if I take like a subset, maybe like, I want to just split. Split is not just designed for one character. Maybe like I want to divide by donkey. if I do by donkey, so interestingly, before donkey and after donkey came, and even white spaces in middle also, it doesn't care. Whatever exactly is there, you got it. But did you all understand, in all these split cases, the character or the substring that you give with which you are trying to split is not present in the output, right? Say if I am splitting by camel, did you see got like this? So what if I say instead of camel I write a cat? Is cat present? No. So if this character or substring which you are trying to split with is not present, even then it will give a list with that single string. So this is what you need to be remembering. So this is the most asked entry question. Even if the character or substring that you're trying to split is not present, it will give it. But if you don't give any character, not even a white space, then it will throw an error. You should give something. If you don't give anything, then it will throw an error. That's one thing you should be aware of. Now, the last point within the split I want to tell is about, it's a very, very interesting example that you will learn. I want to tell that in one shot. Generally, split you understood how many times it is splitting, how many times it is present, those many times it is splitting. So what all things you understood. But for split, there is one more option called as max split. Max split means how many times you want to split. You see, if I just do a split by the here itself, you can understand, right, how it is working. Okay, hope you understood. If I'm asking to split by 0, how many times 0 is there? Those many times it is splitting. But if I say max split of 0, means you split only 0 times, means it won't even split. If I say split by one time, means only the first occurrence of 0 from left to right when it is going, it will split. In other cases, it won't split. You see here, in these two cases, you understood. And these two cases, very interesting. Split and R split. For the first time, you're seeing a new thing called as R split, means a right split. Split will go from left to right. R split will go from right to left. So from right to left, it will go and check for the first thing. So left to right, it will go and check like this. In the same fashion, if I repeat like, hey, split 3 times, but from left to right, and split 3 times, but right to left. Did you understand what's happening? So it will check for the occurrences of 0 from the starting, and it will remove split. In the R split, it will check for the same zeros from right to left for the first 3 occurrences of, or first 1 occurrence, like that it will do split. Hope it's clear. Okay. And in the same lines, so this is one of the interview question which was asked. If 1, 2, 3 dot split of comma is there, you get like this. Then what is the answer for 1, 2, 2 commas and 3? In this case, how it will split? So there are 2 commas here, and after 3 also there is a comma. So it's not like a strip. It will individually do as it is. Whereas if you are going for a white space, that makes a difference. If you don't give any character, and if there can be more than one white spaces also, split we can do very easily with just 3 characters. But if you specifically give explicitly, you will bear all the characters. Sometimes it would be a necessity for you. You can take like that, but be aware of how it works. Hope it's clear, the split and others. There is one more small thing like a split called as partition. What is this partition does? How different it is from a split? So till now you saw split, right? Let me do the same thing with a partition. Okay. Let me take a small word this time called as, let me take a small word this time, Python production dot split. Python production dot split. If I do, this is what earlier also we have seen. Wherever a character is present, with respect to that, how many times it is present, it will split, right? Similarly, if I do, there is something called as partition. Same like split, there is another thing called as partition, but it will give a tuple, means like braces differently, but it will give three things. Before that part, after that part, the part with which you are splitting. So split how many parts it will give based upon the number of occurrences, right? Number of occurrences. Say I am splitting with something called as a D. If I do split with a D, okay, observe what happened. D is also occurring one time. So before and after, did you see the character with which we splitted is not present in the output? In the same fashion, if I do, instead of a split with a partition, I get three parts. Before that, with which you are partitioning, after that. Okay, till now we have seen something which is present only once. Say if I am going for something which is present more than once, let's say T, Python production. So 2 times T is present. So 2 times it is dividing, right? If I do the same thing with a partition instead of this, you will observe the difference. No matter how many times it is occurring, it will do left to right. So here also T is there, here also T is there, but it will do from the starting. So first occurrence, before that and after that. What if you want to do from the other side direction? You can do something called as the R partition, same like R split, but it will every time give only one character. Hope it's clear. Hope it's clear. Yeah. So if I do the same thing again, you know, split by zeros, right? So now you understood more clearly. Split, how many times zero is there, it will do. Whereas if I do partition, then you will understand it will do only once. And if I do the same partition in a reverse called as R partition, did you see how what it happened? It did in the reverse direction, right to left. So that is the difference between partition and this thing. Hope it's clear. Any doubt till now?
No.
Okay, fine. And one more thing. So this is another interview which is asked called as how to convert a string to a list. We have seen split, and how to convert to a tuple means you have seen like this also. But there were genuine ways of doing it. Means there were built-in functions for doing it. If I say list is a built-in function, so I'm in the 71 built-in functions, one by one I'm telling. If I use list, a string will be converted to a list. How it is converting? It is dividing to each character. Nothing like specific split, anything individually it is taken. So if I use a word called as tuple, it is another built-in function for creating a tuple. There is one more thing called as a set. If I use that, why it is taking only one characters means it won't store duplicates. These are some data structures we will learn in the next chapter. Next, now we understood how to split, right? How to split, how to divide is a good way to understand, I guess. Different ways you saw. But how do you convert a list of strings back to a single string? That is another introduction. If you want to do that, so I would say the best way is like you go and take each of the strings and you add it. You just add the strings, or like you just add like with anything specifically in middle. So you can understand there are three ways of the, so 3 ways I showed you, right? Just adding Python production string, it will combine as it is. But if you want white spaces in middle, you place individually. If you want like hyphens, you place individually. Okay, you have 3 words, fine. What if you have 30 words like this? Will you go each time place a plus operator? It would be crazy, right? So you should have something else to do better. So that's where you have something called as a delimiter dot join. This is called as a delimiter, means the character with which you want to join all of them and join. So this many people will use. As a beginner, the most common error that you do is that you don't place any braces, you just give the values and it will throw in error. So what is the problem here? For join, what are the things here you giving? You should give in braces. So no matter what braces, at this moment you don't know, right? Just use only list. So it will join like this. See, observe the difference between up and down like this. But if you want white space in middle, you give it. Now, don't you think it doesn't matter 3 words or 30 words or 100 words? I can just do like this, right? So if I want different kinds of ways, I can just give all of them and it will do in all different ways. Say, if I give a different delimiters, like a space, so hyphen, if I add the adherent symbol, whatever might be, so it will join with everything. In the same fashion, if I have a list of strings and if I want to join with a 0, see, so all will be joined with a 0 between them. I can do the same thing in different ways. But one more problem you need to think about is when you're joining, everything within the list should be a string. If anything is like not a string, then it cannot do. So that is what you need to be remembering. So not if not all are same also, but if they are integers, it doesn't work. Because it indirectly it will do a string concatenation only. We cannot add a string to an integer, right? So that's the thing, same thing. So there is one one saying, like, you can understand some interesting point. If you have any word and if you are doing a split, then it will divide to parts, right? And the character with which you are splitting will not be present, but it will give a list of strings. And again, when you are joining, you can join with whatever character you want. Now, did you see, if I split and join with the same character, so did you see that I got original string again? In the second case, Python production, I'm splitting by P and again joining by P. Obviously, so you'll get the same thing, right? Now, here itself, one interesting point comes. If I split by one character and joining by another character, instead of Python production, don't you see I got Python production? Means, don't you think it's like a replacement of the character? But if you want to replace that, you need not do that much. There is a very interesting way of doing. So like this, if you give any character and say, so to replace, it will replace those many number of times. And also for replace, that is an option also. I will give that for you to do. Did you see, if I say Python production, it will replace PB the R. If I say prod, PROD, it will replace with CAT. You see, but it will expect the exact positions. Only strip is one which don't take care of the order, but all others will take care of the order. Hope it's clear. And similarly, if you want to replace a specific number of times, there is an option for number of times also. So I also give you the assignment, just walk through it. But you can specifically tell how many times you want to replace also. That is also a possibility here. Hope it's clear. Any doubt till now?
No.
Fine. And one last thing that I want to tell is in terms of the positioning. In terms of positioning, there are 3 things. If you have any string and if you want to position them, there is something called a center, LJust and RJust. Same like in your Word, how you do. So Microsoft Word in the same way. And when you are making in center, if you want to fill values, I can give the specific characters. If you observe carefully these 3, you will understand it. You are saying that, hey, you take a window of 25 characters. Within that, place my string. If your string is greater than the window size, then you will not see much difference. But if it is less than that, you will observe the difference. So your string Python is like 3 plus 3, 6 characters. Within 25, it fit. And the other spaces were like just left empty strings. But if you want to fill with something, you can give the fill character and it will replace with that. So same thing goes with LJust. So placing it in the left side. RJust means placing in the right side. Hope it's clear. Now, the last part in this string things is about string formatting. This is the most important point about string formatting. So every now and then we work with the string formatting. So please pay like enough focus on it. .ipynb I want to do string formatting. So what is the string formatting? What you want to do? So as you know, the first cell would be Python. I want to show as a markdown. I do it. So Control F. So like this. String formatting. In Python, you need to understand that there were 3 ways of doing a string formatting. Earlier in Python 2, there is only one, but slowly they introduced the different things. So now you can see there were 3 types of things. Old style formatting or for literal formatting, new style, and like F strings. First, if you want to work on the old style, so we can say the old style means what? Old style formatting. Hope you see in C++ also you see in the same way, right? So percentile D, percentile I, percentile C, all these things. In the same lines, we can do here also. So let me start with the how we do in a C language. In the C language, if you have any character, you just need to present like this. So first you give a string and percentile followed by in braces. If you just have one value, this braces is also not mandatory. But if you do, it will work. So when you have more than one values, you can do that. First, you do anything with the placeholders. So observe carefully what you will understand here. If I just give something like this, with percentile D also, it doesn't matter. It will treat like an ordinary string. But only if you have after percentile some value, that's where it will recognize. In these 3 cases, you will understand that you give percentile D. You told that integer will come, but you gave like integers, float. When you give float also, as it is integer family, it converted and used it. But so the biggest problem with this is that if you give a different data type, it cannot take it. You see, in this case, you told percentile D, means you told integer will come. But if a string came, then it will throw an error because it cannot take a string. So this is what one problem with this type of formatting. But let's exploit all. So if you see percentile yes, means you are telling that string will come and you give string. Now it will work perfectly. So without any problem. In the same fashion, if I say percentile f will come, so and you give float, and it similarly here I told percentile f, but I gave integer because within the same family it can exist. Same like how we exist in a family. So similarly, I told you if you want to take anything like a string, you give percentile yes. There is, if you want just one character, there is something called as percentile C, but seldom people use it. Mostly you see percentile S only. But percentile S is like string. It can take anything and convert to a string and store. I told you, right? There is one more thing called as REPR, I told, right? What is REPR, I told. As of now, you will not understand much difference. But like one thing you will notice it. It will be same like string. So you see, for all values, it is same. Only for the string characters, it will add an extra quotes. So REPR means raw representation of anything. Hope you remember when we worked with so escape sequences, I told if you don't want /n or /t to be treated like that, we need to use it, right? In the same fashion. And similarly, this is all formatting. And similarly, if for formatting, we can go for the different notations, right? Percentile O means octal, hexadecimal. You remember hexadecimal binary? For percentile P, it is not there binary. But for hexadecimal and so, percentile O, percentile X are there. You can represent anything. As I told earlier, you can also have a single character and multiple characters. Percentile S and percentile C. But percentile C is designed for only single character. But I told, right, seldom people use and others people use directly. In the same fashion, there is one more thing called as percentile F. Just now I showed. This percentile F, you can give in 3 different things. So maybe like I will take this opportunity to see. If I give small f of capital F, it will treat in the same way. If you give a number just like that also, it will give after decimal 6 digits. So post decimal like that. And similarly, there is one more thing called as percentile G. This percentile G, even if you give a big or small, it will try to round off. So it don't ensure that the minimum number of characters are present. It will try to round off and give the absolute kind of like value. And percentile E will give an exponential value. So exponential representation. So these three are three types of representations. To consolidate them together, I'm taking like this. If I want to get the math value, I told, right, we need to import the module and then math.pi I have. So, pi value is the most common. Everyone can understand and relate. That's why I gave it. You see here, the three all values, how they are coming. So if I do like a percentile D, it will just give a number integer. If I give like percentile F, post decimal, it will ensure 6 digits. Percentile 9F, if I giving, this is interesting. This is formatting. It will ensure that 9 digits were there. In that, it will place all of them. So totally, if there are extra, it's see extra white space is there. And similarly, 9.3, this is interesting. For any floating point value, if I say 0.3 means after decimal, I want only 3 digits. So this is like string format as a formatting, old style formatting. So the real world use cases, if you see the previous one, the lucky number is some string I wrote, right? I'm placing it. Observe the difference now for all these things. You have like in the first case, I have one placeholder. I got one. So percentile D, percentile 10D means 10 digits you are reserving, or 10.3 means 10 digits you reserved, but post decimal only 3. Or similarly 010 means like prepend with the zeros. So like that we can tell. And similarly, if you have 2 characters, you can specify that you want 2 positions and you can get it. So 2 placeholders means 2 values should come. So similarly, if I just place the placeholders and I don't give anything, nothing will happen. But if I in this case 3 placeholders I give, so I need to give 3 values. And these 3 placeholders and 3 values should go in the same order. So here first is percentile S, means string. First should be here string only. Next percentile D, next integer only. Next percentile F, float. Like that, if you give only, it works. But if you change the order or if you change anything, then it will throw in error. You see in this case, if I take like the first one is string and second one I told it is a percentile D, but I gave a string, then it will throw in error. So that is a problem with this old style formatting. So to avoid that, the best way is like, so no matter whatever you have, you place a placeholders as only string.